Hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn history. Today, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. And after we've done that, we're going to do medial plane training. And if you participate in the medial plane training, that's the honors, and this is part 3 already, I think, of Hanging Gardens of Babylon. Now here they were built. And it was so that the king Nebuchadnezzar was married to Semiramis. And she was from Persia, and she was a bit sad because she missed the hills of her Persian homeland. And so Nebuchadnezzar built a palace, built a hill, 100-meter high terraced hill out of gardens. So gardens in terraces 100 meters high. And that was done at the banks of the river Euphrates. And they were surrounded by a 7-meter thick wall, 100 meters high. I'm going to show again the picture, whatever picture it is. I don't know when the picture is or what picture it even is. And there were white marble staircases, and they connected the terraces, which were supported by rows of arches. Stone flower beds, leaned with lead and filled with soil, lay along each terrace and were filled with a profusion of exotic trees, shrubs, flowers, and creepers. So on each stage of the 100-meter high tower, surrounded by a 7-meter thick wall, there were flowers. At the sides were the flower beds, leaned with lead and filled with soil. On the top terrace, a series of cisterns fed the fountains, waterfalls and streams, which kept the hanging gardens watered. The water was raised from the Euphrates by pumps, probably Archimedean screws, worked by slaves. Okay. At the top terrace, there were cisterns. So water buckets, so places where water is kept. And from that, the waterfalls were made running. And also the flowers water. And this was done from the river Euphrates. It was built at the river Euphrates and today's Iraq, and used the Archimedes screws. I don't know it exactly, but I think these are just so screws. So the idea is that when you turn it, and the lower end takes all this a little sip, and it's open. It's basically actually like a hand. It takes the lower part, and then water is inside of it. It goes in, takes it, now water is inside of it, and now it goes up again. But the idea is that now, yes, that thing, the tip of the thing goes again in and takes again the next tip, but the other end goes up and it has then this, a coiled thing upwards going, a wired coiled thing upwards. It goes in, it goes in, takes a sip of water, and now the water goes upwards, because there's one thing and then another one, and another one, and another one. And it's always taken by gravity. It is enough gravity so that it goes, it stays always down in water. But the gravity, the whole thing is 10 centimeters high. And every time the thing is turned, it moves a little bit to the side. It's enough to keep the water, these 5 centimeters of the radius of 10 centimeter long thing, down. The water stays in. If you turn it around, it doesn't fall down, because it's still 5 centimeters lower than the thing. It just goes 3 centimeters higher. So the thing has this angle. And the water is always hanging here. Now if you turn it, the whole thing is turning, but water stays in exactly that positions. Because the water cannot come with it when it would come with gravity upwards. The water just keeps lying down here. And if you turn now that whole thing, the water keeps in here, but you turn the thing onwards, and now the thing keeps standing. But because you turn it, the water has to go to the next place, which is a little bit lower. So it does not want to come up with the whole thing. It does not want to come up. It is here, and it does not want to come up. It wants to fall down, but it cannot come up, and it cannot fall down. It's held here to the end. And now when the thing is turned, it falls down. But it falls a bit forward, because the direction forward is easier than upwards, basically that. And now if you turn the whole thing, the water is going always, every turn you make, 2 centimeters upwards. The water goes then always 2 centimeters up and a bit in front, and now it goes basically like that upwards. It's basically like gravity. The water cannot come upwards because it's 5 centimeters deep inside of this hole, and it cannot come upwards. The easier way is to go 2 centimeters forward. and it keeps hanging in it, but it cannot fall. It's not so easy to describe, and it goes right upwards. And I think these are Archimedean screws, but I don't know. But these are very simple things to build. If someone has the idea, not easy to build, but if someone has the idea that this works, it's not so hard. It's hard to come up with the idea, I think, to build it. But if someone knows that this exists, it takes a bit of effort to build it. If someone knows that works, that is incredible. You can bring water upwards. It's just a little mathematical gravitational game. And yet, of course, someone has to turn over all the time, and that was done by forced labor. And now someone was turning these things, and now the water is coming upwards. Why we can, but I don't know if these are Archimedean screws, but I know that these things existed, and they look like screws, and Archimedeans, and these things were probably invented during the time. It's difficult to come to that idea, but if you have it, I don't know the proper word. While we can spare thought for the slaves whose non-stop labor irrigated them, there can be no doubt that the Hanging Gardens of Babylon must have been one of the most beautiful sights in the ancient world. So yes, there was of course hard work done to build the thing and to keep it running, and the plants watered and the waterfalls running, but it was a beautiful sight in the ancient world, certainly. Equally, there must have been a prodigious feat of architecture and hydraulic engineering, since considerable skill and ingenuity would have been needed to prevent the masonry from being undermined and weakened by the water which kept the gardens lush. What does lush mean? Would have been needed to prevent the masonry from being undermined and weakened by the water which kept the gardens lush. Okay. Now, and not just these Archimedean screws and the hard work provided, but also the architectural building and the hydraulic engineering. All the thing must have been a masterwork, because otherwise the thing would have weakened, fallen down, or whatever. Now we're having now a little bit left, and we're going to do it in the next part. We're going to do now the medieval plane training. If you were here for history or the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, you can go directly to the next part. We will do now the medieval plane training. If you participate in the medieval plane training, we're setting on this. We're bringing one leg up, and we're doing the greeting mushroom. Foot up, down, up, down, up, and down. The other leg up. The foot up, and down. And the next exercise, legs wide apart, and we're breathing down, down. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Now we're going to close the legs. And out. And now one leg up. Into a right angle with the leg, flexed foot, even line hips, tall up with the back, and press on the top against the knee. Have a little bend in the elbow. Even line hips, tall up with the back, little bend in the elbow. And the other leg up. Right angle with the leg, flexed foot, even line hips, tall up with the back, and press on top against the knee. And the next exercise, leg up, right angle with the leg, same setup, and pressing with the inside against the knee. And the other leg up, and we're pressing again on the inside here against the knee. Even line hips, tall up with the back, and from the inside pressing. Next exercise, knee again up, and the knee presses up and to the side. And the other leg up, the knee presses up to the side. Last exercise, the heavy swing low. Leg up, right angle, flex foot, even line hips, tall up with the back, and we're pressing from the outside with a little bend in the elbow, and we're opening slowly the leg. And we're closing again slowly. Open again slowly. And close again slowly. And the other leg up, and the press from the outside, and we're opening slowly. And we're closing again slowly. Open again slowly. And close slowly. And walk it loud. And that was for me, playing training. I thank you very much, and at the next time.